Hi guys, Ryan here from the Basketball Fix. Now, we are so happy with the amount of support we've received all season long from our viewers and listeners. Coming into NBL 25 finals is a big call to action. If you like what we're doing, please share this episode with somebody else close to you that you think would also like the Basketball Fix content. It helps us out immensely. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on your favorite platform. Shows us that we're doing a great job, and we will continue to deliver top quality NBL content all through the finals and into NBL 26.
Prislovic keeps it alive. Oh, Crawford, the fancy footwork and a fabulous finish. JackJumpers chance. McVeigh, 2 on the clock. Oh! Clint McVeigh! And have a look at what it means to Scott Roth. Bloody good. How good. These JackJumpers. They just never say die.
Welcome, Ant Army, to another episode of Tasmanian Takeover, your for fans, by fans, Tasmania JackJumpers podcast, presented to you by the Basketball Fix. Make sure you head over to thebasketballfix.com to get your basketball fix, all the NBL insights and fan podcasts, etc., etc. We are coming to you once again over the YouTubes, over the Spotify's and Apple Podcasts platforms. And of course, I am joined by my co-host, my partner in crime, JD. How are you, my man?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You well?
Oh, mate, keeping on. It's a shame that we're not celebrating a little bit more. Unfortunately, things are looking very grim, and we'll get into that shortly. But you know what? Even if this is slowly coming to the close of our season, I think we've seen a lot from our team, from our boys, that we can be very, very proud of. And I think over the coming days and weeks as we lead up to the final game, I think we're really going to see just what the boys are made of and how we go from potentially missing, the playoff season for our first year in, a very short career, which is unbelievable, and seeing just what the team does to carry on and go forth. But we'll get into all that shortly. What we do like to do at the start of Tasmanian Takeover, apart from shouting out our good friends at the Basketball Fix and all our good friends from the other fan podcasts, is get on and talk a little bit about ourselves for a moment. And our man JD's been out doing his comedic work, hopefully ripping him a new one with laughs. How has the Fringe Festival been, mate?
It's good, mate. We're all done. 4 shows, 4 sold-out shows around the city of Perth. We performed everywhere from Perth City itself to up in the hills in Kalamunda and down south in Rockingham, which is a big Navy town. And they were all wild. They were all so much fun. We had a lot of fun telling our jokes. Then we'd finish the show with a roast battle of all the comedians. And mate, that was just wild. It was if you came along to Tropic Blunder this year, thank you so much. It was a really good run.
Brilliant. Really glad to hear. And I do like the fact that it wasn't just a one-off show. It was a series of show for you, so you could really ease. The first show, there's always that, you got to get into the groove and whatnot. And then hopefully by the end of that run, you were like, yeah, we're old hats at this.
It was tight.
It
was tight. We had some pretty epic heckling in the last show. There was one particular lady who wanted to have a chat during the show, and she absolutely copped it from 4 comedians who knew their way around a roast battle.
Beautiful. I love to hear
mate,
it. Love to hear it.
I heard a little birdie that you yourself are back on the airways. You're in a different format. You're not talking sport, but you're back on the Tasmanian airwaves.
Yes, I'm back after a bit of an extended Christmas break. Generally, I always try to take a bit of a break from Edge Radio between sort of that December, January, but unfortunately it extended out to best part of November and, right up to February. But yes, last weekend was the first episode back for Voice of Chaos. So if you do like your music heavy, I'll play. If it's Australian and it's heavy, I'll play it. So I'm really proud to say that we have a lot of great up-and-coming Aussie bands that do have their tunes featured on the show, and it was a jam-packed episode. If you are interested in hearing the replay, I've made it easy for everyone. Much like we have our mini site, beacons.ai/Tasmanian Takeover, I also have a site for Voice of Chaos, so beacons.ai/Voice of Chaos. So shameless plug there, but whatever helps to spread the music and get these young bands hopefully a bigger audience.
Hopefully they've got plenty of throat lozenges for after the show.
Absolutely.
What are they like? Chamomile and honey, generally the go-to with the heavy metal crowd.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, look, for myself, I've done a bit of the old vocal work, and I gotta say, lemon and honey tea is amazing. Nothing soothes better, honestly. I've gone into a studio with a reasonably rough throat, sat there sipping the lemon honey and been able to scream my guts out for a 3-hour rehearsal session. So there is something to be said about that.
It's so good.
What, actually, you'd be when you're up on stage, what do you use? Any to help the throat, or do you just sit there and drink hard liquor to kill?
Oh no! Look, my job is to get up there and just talk as much shit as I can, right? Which I'm practicing day in, day out, right? So my vocals are well tuned to just talking a bit of shit.
Fair. All right, well, let's get into it. And of course, we've got Nest on Notice first, which is the news of what's going on around the place. And look, this is a bit of a mixed bag, because as we're coming into the end of the season, you'll start to find our Nest on Notice will become almost, I suppose, rolled in a little bit to what's the team doing as we start to look forward for next season. But also we may end up rolling in a little bit of the old what's going on in Ant-Army antics with, some of the stuff that the boys actually do in off-season. And look, a little bit of inside baseball here, a little bit of how the sausage is made. JD and I have been talking about what does Tasmanian Takeover look like in the off-season. And I will say we do have a few planned shows lined up, so do continue to tune in, even if we don't make it into the playoffs, even if you think, that's done, I don't want to listen to these two idiots anymore. Tune in, because we're good idiots. We do try our best. But also, in conjunction with the other fan podcasts, we're probably going to have some very similar format shows to talk about what's going on in the off-season, what's the marketplace looking like for free agency, what's the MVP status looking like, both, across the league and team-based, etc., etc. And then for Tasmanian Takeover, we're really lucky. We don't have to just be the JackJumpers podcast. We can actually extend that to the teams that compete in the NBL 1. So we're looking at, the Chargers, the Northwest Thunder, the Tawns. We'll see what that looks like. And we don't know yet how often we'll be getting on the podcast. We don't know what sort of coverage it will come at yet, because bloody hell, the NBL 1 season is jam-packed. That's a lot of basketball to consume. But what we do know is with movements like Jared Weeks becoming the head coach of the Hobart Chargers, I think there's going to be some interesting moves that could be worth tuning into for JackJumpers fans. So keep an eye on that. The format for the show moving forward could get a little bit fluid. Maybe there'll be a little more shit talking, which is, I can see Jared getting all kinds of excited for that one. But
look, just give me the mic and let me go, Berto. Maybe we don't need you for 1 or 2 episodes. I'll just get in there and just rabbit on.
And then I'll have to get on the next episode and make apologies. So we'll just keep that under wraps. All right. So let's talk. What needs to happen for us to make the playoffs, JD. Now, I know you've been sitting there doing your Rain Man thing and you're getting your spreadsheets out and drawing up your pie charts and all that good stuff, which when you rab it on in the group chat, I'm just like, that's cute. Numbers, numbers, numbers. What's the end result? So let's get to the bread and butter of this one. What do we need to do come, what is it, Saturday we play Cairns? What do we need to do so that our journey continues?
Yeah, so it's slim, but it's not impossible. Effectively, what needs to happen is our boys need to thump the mighty Cairns Taipans by 30 points or more, and the Adelaide 36ers need to win by 30 points or more. So, in the words of Harry from Dumb and Dumber, what you're telling me is there's still a chance.
Right. So let me get that straight. The Adelaide 36ers need to win.
Need to lose. Sorry, did I say win?
Lose, right. Yeah, you said win. So I wanted to clarify that because at the moment they're above us. So if they lose by 30 or more and we win by 30 or more, suddenly we do the old shift and shuffle.
Sixth spot is rightfully ours. And we're back where we belong in playoffs.
The passionate fan in me wants to say, yes, we're going to do it.
Yep.
The realist in me goes, bloody hell, that is an ask. Because you're no longer controlling what you can control. You're now hoping that another team isn't sitting there going, well, screw you guys, you're going home.
Exactly right. But look, I hope this is not a call to give up. I played in an AFL Nines game 1 year. This is the pinnacle of my sporting achievements.
I was going to say, should we now be putting you up for MVP this year or what?
Absolutely. Let me tell this story, and you'll be throwing it at me. Okay. We came to the last game in the season. And we needed to win by 100 points in our AFL Nines game. Now, AFL Nines is, I think it's two 10-minute halves. And we gave ourselves the goal. We are going to make this final. And we put our heads down and we thumped the team by 102 points. And we made the grand final. And the faces of the team that we kicked out of the grand final was priceless. So I hope you're listening, Jackies, because this is doable. Let's control what we can control. Let's see Montrez Harrell's face when we take sixth spot. We're in the playoffs, and he has to make his way home early. This is what I want to see.
It would be beautiful, and you know what? There's a part of me that goes, this would just further continue this, I don't know what word to use, magical story of this team that has just, no matter what, that underdog mentality, that grit and grind, that never give up. Because at this point in time, this is a situation where it's never give up, where you don't care what the result is. You're just going to go out there and fight. And I think that is something that is so deeply ingrained in our team's culture that if there is a chance, if there is a hope in bloody hell, we will do it. And by crikey, I do feel like there is a chance. I may go and buy a lotto ticket after the fact.
100%.
But I'm certainly going to be, I guarantee you, on Saturday, if that's happening, old Berto's going to be just sitting there dancing after watching the game, I'm telling you. All right. In other news, we've been talking a little bit about comments that were made in one of the post-game presses around Clint Steindl. And look, it's no secret. I've talked about it before. I am a huge fan of Captain Clint. Look, he may not be pulling the biggest numbers or whatever else on the court, but it's everything about him. His leadership, the way he represents the team, the way he is seen from within the team as that leader, that mentor, that culture guy, that everything. And the impression and I think it was a pretty obvious impression to take away from the comments, was that Skip's going nowhere. At the end of the day, conversations will be had. Skip's going nowhere. JD, what's your thought about keeping Captain Clint within the team and having him carry on with the Jackies in the next season?
Look, he's one of the OG Jackies, right? Our OG captain. I think he has every right to decide when he hangs up the boots. I don't think that's a call that we should make. And it's great to see him going on, because I think, like you said, maybe not the most talented player on our list, but he is a heart and soul player who we absolutely love, and I can't wait for another year of seeing him just dob threes like they're going out of fashion.
Absolutely. And I think we're starting to see, he was having a bit of a shooting slump there, but I think we're starting to see the rust come off. And
so.
Speaking of rust coming off, I'm going to just cut straight to it. That one-handed jam he pulled off in, what was it? The Melbourne game, wasn't it?
Yep.
Where the hell did that come from? No, it might not.
Who knew he had that in his armory?
Yeah. Whatever it was. Hang on, I'm just trying to look through my notes here, which is about as well organised as my office at the moment. But where are we? Yes, it was actually the Hawks game.
Was it?
Just comes out of nowhere with this one-handed jam. Like, I'm wondering if afterwards he had to sit there and apply ample of Danker rub and whatever else. But that was what I loved about it, was it had nothing to do with, the jam. It was the fact that there is so much bloody passion there. Something just said to him, "Up you go."
Yep.
In a way,
we're doing this.
That's awesome. That was just unreal. I mean, if that gives me that sense of these boys are not giving up, which is fantastic. And I think when you see your captain go and do something like that, you can't help but want to follow. That's just, amazing. Yep. And in other news, there's a lot of questions being asked about the Dart. Is there a roster spot for him next season? And we've had a little bit of a chat about it behind the scenes. And look, there is a potential there that they can get him onto a standard roster spot. There's also a potential there that they could. I believe there is precedence there that DP spots can go longer than 2 years. Our man Josh, who heads up the basketball fix, was talking about a particular player. I can't remember who he said right now, where that was a situation. Yeah, one of the Wildcats. But what do you reckon? Have we seen enough out of the Dart to potentially consider a roster spot?
Oh, look, 100%. It just he's been a revelation. In the second half of this season, he's been one of the few shining lights, I guess. I guess the question is, who has to lose their spot for him to go on? If he can accept another DP contract, wonderful. That's a no-brainer, I think. But if he does have to join a roster, it'd be interesting to see who makes way for him. I thought that maybe Captain Clint was considering. That doesn't look like it's happening now. So look, I really hope it does, because he's been outstanding. Ever since he got his start, and he nailed those 3 threes in a quarter. He's just been he's been our best DP by far since Shawnee Mack come through, right?
Absolutely. And I think I'd like to see, I think just because of his shooting capabilities, it would be great to have him involved. I kind of want to see a world where both Captain Clint and the Dart can be on the same team, because I think there's a lot that can be done to help him develop even further, if not as a DP role. And look, I don't know how easy it would be to make him a DP for another year. Hopefully he can be. he must have been a DP on another team. I haven't looked into it because he's only done the 1 year with us from memory.
Yeah, I think this is his first year as a JackJumper. I don't know whether age comes into it. I know he's actually older than he looks. He's 24.
Right.
So yeah, so whether age comes into it as part of the DP. I know a lot of whenever the coaches are asked about him, they always go down the line of every player will be assessed at the end of the season, and he's done everything right. Which doesn't give me a lot of hope. I'm hoping they manage to work something out because he definitely deserves it. He's been brilliant.
So this is probably where Jared and I have both kind of shown our little bit of lack of knowledge there, and we're not going to shy away from it. If you know more about how the DPs work and how this could potentially help or hinder the Dart joining us next season, feel free to add it in the comments. Wherever you're listening to this, add it in the comments. And yeah, depending on what comes out of it, we may even discuss it further on the next episode. So yeah, do make sure you hit up the socials and continue the conversation. I don't want to do this part. Oh,
I know, it's awful, isn't it?
All right, Ant-Attack. Let's talk game reviews. First one, Illawarra Hawks. We lost. We got steamrolled in the end. This was at MyState Bank Arena on the 30th of January. Firstly, some good stuff that came out of this was that on that day, Sammy from the Hawks Hangout. So this is one of those times we're not going to shit talk the Hawks Hangout. And it was really cool. Sammy came down to Tassie to go and check out the game at MyState Bank Arena, and we got to sit down in person and knock the head off a couple of frothies and meet each other in person and talk shit, which was fantastic. It was really the fun part for me was I obviously didn't have game tickets because getting game tickets is nigh on impossible. They had, I think they purchased the very last tickets in the arena, which were courtside tickets. Unfortunately, I'm just not that I'm not that flush with cash to go rolling into a courtside ticket. So good on him. It was Sammy and his dad. Good on him for going to have a great time down there. But it was so funny. I dropped them off at the arena and went up to the concourse with them, and walking in with a couple of lads dressed in full Irreplaceable get up. It was hilarious. But would you believe, JD? Would you believe that the moment we walked in, the one other person wearing Illawarra get up, they spotted and started chatting to. So go figure.
Amazing. You can actually, if you watch the game back, you can actually see quite a bit of footage of Sam.
Oh God,
he's he's there. He's the turkey that after every time Illawarra score, he gets up and does a bow and arrow movement for some reason. So I'd like to hear your explanation for that one, Sammy.
Wanker. Simple. It was good value meeting you, Sammy. I know you'll listen to this podcast because I know you'll be looking for where we rip on you. So there you go, son. Have a crack. Anyway, 78-102. It wasn't great. Look, my thoughts on the game. Gack had some really great opening minutes, very aggressive. In the first quarter, we saw some solid defense, but what I noticed was as the speed of the game continued to sort of pick up, and it was a fast-paced quarter, the defense just seemed to waver a little bit. In the final roughly 3 minutes, don't hold it against me if I'm not totally correct, there was a lot of missed shots. And there were also a lot of opportunities for the Hawks to just get in there. Whether the defense was down or whether we were just not onto them, it just felt too loose. We then went into quarter two, and Doyle and Crawford started to heat up. And what was really cool was it felt like the two of them were starting to fire together, which is something we've talked about. One's usually on, the other's not so much when it comes to the fire, to the shooting, and that offensive plays. This was probably one of the first games where we really got to see that dynamic. then it was pretty much a 9 to 11 point margin throughout the quarter. Defense still continued to look bad. There was some kind of upgraded foul on Doyle on Kell. So Trey Kell went to the line. It was upgraded. I'm not sure what went on there. But at that point, I don't know. I don't know if that was the catalyst, the turning point, or what. But from then, it just felt like it was an shit moment. High turnovers I made a note as I was watching the game. That was something I made a real note. By quarter 2, I'd already listed high turnovers. They were already starting to talk about it on the commentary. There was a lot of turnovers there. Q3, what was really cool was we saw Steindl really heat up. The skip's eye was getting in. He was dropping them. It was looking good. And again, Stoddart was starting to really look impressive. What I would say was, and this pretty much will sum up the final half, there was fight, but there was just not enough momentum there. There was a tech foul on the Tassie bench that I have no idea what that was about. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I was too busy swearing at the TV. I have no idea. One of the two. Hummer's free throws. I am now convinced that they are targeting Hummer, because if you're going to foul someone, foul him, because he's going to miss. It's bad. I'm not going to rag on him at the moment because I really feel, okay, that maybe wasn't his strong point. But I can tell you now, our league, when we know you are shit at the line, we're going to get you on the line because it's a quickest way to sit there and watch a... I
have a feeling if there's one thing he likes more than basketball, it's cheeseburgers.
You reckon it's inside a little bit of inside?
I reckon he's sabotaging himself. I reckon he's got an understanding with Hungry Jacks.
Yeah, right. Good on you. By Q4, we had a 20-plus margin blowout. We were outplayed. We were outshot. But we also got to see Archie and Walt on the court again. So that's a plus. I mean, that's one thing I'm really enjoying seeing from Roth, whether it be due to lack of bodies or our bodies are just too tired or whatever else. In this final run, whether we make it to playoffs or not, I love the fact that these young guys are getting some minutes, getting some real minutes too, and actually getting to show what they can do, which is fantastic because, you know, it's one thing to practice at this level. And whilst I've certainly never played a game of NBL in my life, I could imagine that being out there in a real game situation is at another level altogether. And so being able to get those minutes in, I think, is crucial. So I love the fact that our guys have been able to get some of those minutes. JD, that's my rundown. What do you take away from it all, mate?
Look, there's a couple of things that I agree on. It's great to see Crawford, Jordan Teapot Crawford. Remember, we call him Teapot because he's short and stout. And Milton putting a couple of games together in the last two games. Crawford finished on 16 points. This is the Illawarra game. Milton on 17. And it's good to start to see them putting a score on. They've obviously both been contributing amazingly, but not necessarily on the scoreboard together. I really liked what Gorjok was doing. And we already mentioned Clint's dunk because that was next level. That was so good.
I was so unexpected. Just so
it was just out of nowhere. It was like earlier. It reminded me of earlier in the season where Anthony the Doctor Drimick pulled out 2 dunks in a game, and I had no idea he had that in his toolkit. Yeah. I don't think we've seen it since, but yeah, more of that, please, Doctor.
Absolutely.
I was really, I've got to be honest, I was really disappointed with the effort in this game. It was just far too easy for Illawarra. They didn't get out of third gear. We looked a bit disinterested at times, and like we thought the season was already over. Obviously, the next week we came out and put a real good show on. The next game, we put a real good show on against Melbourne. But I think the result of Adelaide losing to Brisbane may have influenced that, which we could be in a completely different situation if we had have really put our head down for the Illawarra game. So scoring looked really hard for the Jackies, but pretty easy for the Hawks. The stats were down. Free throws, 12 out of 20, which is just on 60%, I think. 29% for threes. Field goals were only 42%. And we only had 66 shots, which is very, very low. Our rebounds haven't improved. We only had 39 rebounds and we had 3 steals. That's the one for me. To only have 3 steals for the game shows that we just weren't being aggressive enough. Saying that, there were positives. There were positives out of the game. I really enjoyed the mullet battle. Archie Woodhill versus Greeter. And I liked, so what I took out of that was Woodhill had his classy, well-kept corporate mullet versus Greeter's dirty Holden Commodore burnout mullet. It was a battle of 2 mullets.
I have to ask, are you sponsored by someone like Sassoon or what is it? Who I don't even know the hair care product names. Are you sponsored by some of them?
I am open to talking to Schwarzkopf if they want to have a chat. If you're interested, Archie absolutely dominated the battle on the scoreboard. He doubled Greeter's output. Greeter got 1 point. Archie got 2. So I think
clearly the corporate mullet actually succeeds.
We can put that one to bed
overall. Yeah,
we can put that to bed. Yeah,
I can't believe we're talking mullet styles.
Mate, when you've got the 2 best mullets on the court at the same time, this is what I come to the basketball for.
Good Lord. Good Lord. All right, well, why don't you take us into the Melbourne game then? Keep the flow going. Give us your rundown on Melbourne.
Not enough mullets in that game, I can tell you. What a game. What an awesome game. It was like we were a different team. We ultimately went down 94-92. Player of the game, Milton Doyle, with 19 points, 3 rebounds and 7 assists. And it was just the return of JackJumpers basketball. It was great to watch. We were making it difficult for the United to do anything basically, and up until halfway through the third quarter, we had their measure. They were really battling with what we were putting up.
So talk to me about that, because look, I'll be honest, it was a game that I couldn't give my full attention to because I was about to go on air with Voice of Chaos. So the funniest part I have to say is here I am in the radio studio with a computer set up deliberately watching the NBL. And at one stage, I'm sitting there watching that final minute that lasted it felt like freaking 20. And I'm like, I need to get back on air, play another song. I need to get back on air, play another song. So up until halftime, we were absolutely dominating. It really felt like we had Melbourne's number. And it really felt like true JackJumper basketball, also in the sense of walking in the John Cain Arena and going, this is our house as well. So what happened? What happened in the second half? Because it felt like I blinked and went, oh shit, we're behind. Talk to us.
Well, and it was sort of discussed in the game day coverage. I think we just hit a wall. We got halfway through the third quarter and Melbourne just got a sniff. They got a couple of easy threes and they just got momentum that we couldn't stop. I did have it here. Where was it? Oh, so what happened was their bigs ended up getting a bit of a sniff. Rob Lowe started doing some good things. Marcus Lee started doing some good things. Marcus Lee only got 6 points, but he was very influential. Couple of big blocks. And Rob Lowe was doing Rob Lowe things. Well, the things that he does when he's not being thrown out of the game for punching the doctor. Never forget. Yeah, look, another great game from Milton and Teapot. They Teapot 20 points, 0 rebounds, and 3 assists. Milton Doyle 19 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists. He had an absolute blinder. It was one of our highest scores for the year. To crack the 90s with the lineup we've got is phenomenal. We had 90% free throw rate. Don't know if that had anything to do with Hummer sitting on the bench, but that was our 90% free throw rate is our highest since Christmas. 8 steals and only 10 turnovers. So the other thing I noticed was Goulding, Dellavedova, and White had 25 points between them. They were largely unseen. So to keep them quiet was great. I just wish we had another minute. I reckon we would have had him. Shane Illy really was the difference as well. He was just like a bloody Jack Russell at a posties leg. He was just absolutely everywhere. There was one turnover he made on Milton, and he made Milton look like an absolute amateur. Just stole it off him, ran to the other court. Dished it off, and easy 2 points. So that's pretty much it, and heartbreaking for the Jackies, because if we could have just got 2 more points, we'd be having a different conversation this week.
Really could have done with that, but it was a great fight. It really was a great fight. As I said, those final minute felt like it was going on for 20. But I do have something to ask you. In the spirit of your newfound queer eye for a straight guy, love, you were frothing over Teapot's hair.
Can we talk about Jordan Crawford's head for a bit?
Let's talk.
Wow. This was just some of the most beautiful hairdo I've ever seen. He's got tight manicured cornrows through it, and they were in a certain pattern that was just amazing. He had the wet look hair gel in to make it shine, and then on the back of his head, we know that Crawford is a big religious man. He had a Catholic Christian cross on the back of his head, which was just outstanding. I was in awe of it every time it popped up on the footage, and we saw Jordan Crawford's hair. I was just amazed. Jordan, if you're listening, I know you saw one of our clips before. If you're listening, mate, outstanding. I need to know who your hairdresser is and where I can get whatever you're rocking myself.
Look, it was very nice. I cannot believe we're sitting there watching the game, and I'm getting messages coming through from JD going on about this hair. I'm like, mate, I'm trying to watch a frigging game here, and he's absolutely frothing. You know, most people sit there and they'll watch the basketball game and talk about the players, talk about the fact that the one of the referees did his Achilles, maybe even talk about the shoes that are being worn on the court. No, our JD froths over the hair. So, yep. We're going to soon have to have a segment just on JD's do's.
I hope Nathan Sobey was watching, because Nathan, that's how you do it. There was not once did Jordan touch that hair. It was exactly where he wanted it at all times.
Love it. All right. So do we dare go there? Do we start talking predictions for our final game of the regular season? Cairns Taipans, MyState Bank Arena, 8th of February. Okay, I'm watching as JD live. We'll just pull the curtain back, show you how the sausage is made. JD is live predicting what, sir? What is your prediction, please?
Jackies have got this one by 35 points.
Bloody
I'm just going to
hell.
say it.
All right, I'm feeling good that we're going to get a win. And I think there's a couple of external factors that are going to help us with this. The first is the true sixth man being MyState Bank Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Ant Army, you need to get louder than you have ever gotten before. You need to give these guys the energy to just absolutely tear the place apart. The second thing is it is our Teal Round. And that we have learnt over the years that the culture behind JackJumpers basketball is that the basketball is the game, but there is more to life than basketball. And what they do for gynecology, I stumbled this word up. Please forgive me. I do. It's one of those words I trip up. Gynecological cancer group.
Nice.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. For those who aren't aware, the game, this is exactly what I've taken off the website, so please, while I read it, to give it the respect it needs. The game is inspired by board director Scott Harris and his late wife, Jo, who sadly passed away in April 2023 after a lengthy battle with ovarian cancer. What I love about She is, from what I understand, they're supporting all women with all types of cancers as well. Mm-hmm. I lost my mum to, well, you could say it was breast cancer, but she was in remission for breast cancer and then unfortunately copped stage 4 liver cancer. So that secondary cancer that kicks in. It was rough. We lost her about, it'd be about 6 years now. And I have, anything to do with supporting cancers, male, female, it doesn't matter. Cancer is one of those things, doesn't discriminate, doesn't care. Age, sex, background, whether you're a Jackies fan or not, it doesn't discriminate. And so I think it's fantastic that we do this every year. I was seeing posts on Pulse Media that even things like the Rest Point Tower will be lit up teal, which is fantastic. Awesome. You can head over to the JackJumpers website. If you can't make it to the game, they've got auctions going for player worn shoes and clothes and signed jerseys and all that good stuff. But even if that is outside your price range, you can buy a virtual seat. And I believe the virtual seat is $20. It's a $20 donation. You'll get a little virtual seat that gets sent through to you, and that's fantastic. I think this is fantastic. The boys will be in there all teal. They'll look the business. The jerseys look mint, absolutely mint.
They do look good this year.
So with all that on our side, I think we're going to be bringing a different energy that we're going to defang the snakes. And look, I will say, the Cairns Taipans have been playing a next level form of basketball. Like, they've got absolutely nothing to lose, and they're just throwing haymakers left, right, and centre. But in some respects, we've got nothing to lose as well, and potentially everything to gain if we can clobber them and Adelaide shit the bed. So I'm going with the Jackies, mate. That was a long-winded way of saying I'm going with the Jackies, but I think it's going to be a great, more importantly, great end of regular season game.
Yeah, for sure. Look, they've got a lot of assets. It's going to be a challenge. They're just beating teams for no reason at the moment. It's almost like the shackles have been lifted off because they're not going to go anywhere. And 40, their coach, has just gone, get out there and just have some fun. So in the last month, they got beaten by New Zealand, but they've beaten Perth, Illawarra, and Brisbane, knowing that they're out. They're just making it difficult for teams who are potentially contending, right? I'm going to talk about Taron Armstrong, another one, a bit like Chris Golding, who needs to hand his Tasmanian passport back in. He can have it back when he joins the NBA, but not being Tasmanian in the NBL and not playing for the Jackies is a cardinal sin in my eyes. I also want to keep an eye on their talls. They've got a guy called Sam Wardenberg who has just been. Well, they're talking about him as potentially a first or second MVP team. What's that called? Is that what that's called?
Yeah. So you got your first
Yeah.
and second, NBL team. Yeah.
NBL team, yeah. And they've also got Tanner Groves, who, if you look at him, looks exactly like Jared Weeks, but just stretched a little bit. So if they've got a version of the janitor running around, it's going to be tough. I guess what do we want to get out of this game other than a 35-point win? Look, if it's not looking like it's going to happen, I want to see more minutes to GG, Nick the Dart Stoddart, Archie Peoples Mullet, Woodhill, Brody Nunn, and the Barometer in Walter Brown. I think for our last game they should get as many minutes as possible. If it doesn't look like we are going to thump this team. So, yeah, fingers crossed. The last thing I wanted to bring up was they've got a guy playing for them called Kyle Adnam.
Yes.
Do you know of Kyle Adnam?
Of course. He's
If
no
you
slouch.
go, he's okay. He's handy. If you go to YouTube and you type in Kyle Adnam throws up on court, you can see him when he played for Melbourne United mid-game vomiting all over the court and running off.
Oh God.
It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in basketball.
It's also one of the worst parts about this world nowadays is everything's captured on bloody camera and uploaded to the internet for all to see. Oh God.
We're gonna share it on our socials because it's something that needs to be seen to be believed. Absolutely.
Righto. Now that we've going to fully embarrass Mr. Kyle Adnam and his chucky experience, let's start talking Ant-Army antics. And I've already given a huge rap to the Teal game, so please do make sure you go and support that. I think it's fantastic. Jack McVeigh. Still out there doing Jack McVeigh things for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. You've pulled the stats together for this week, JD. Give us a rundown on them, old mate.
Yes, on the 31st of January, they played against the Sioux Falls Skyforce. And they actually got a win for that one, which is one of not many for RGV, to be honest. They won that game 114-96. Jack was the top scorer in that game with 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. He's back. He had a couple of down weeks, Jack, and he talked about that on the fan hub, the JackJumpers fan hub, as well about having a down week and what he does to sort of recover from that. They're currently in Cleveland, which they played against Cleveland on the 2nd of February, which they went down 104-110. Jack only had the 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists for that one, so a bit of a quieter one for Jack. And I believe they're playing as we record this, so hopefully he's out there tearing them a new arsehole.
Absolutely. And I really do love the fact that Jack each week jumps into the fan hub and leaves a little message and whatnot. I think that's fantastic. And again, just great for how embedded all the players are into the culture. And of course, Jack, who was practically the face of the JackJumpers. Jack by name, Jack by nature. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of another Tasmanian Takeover for another week. As I said, do keep an eye on the show over the next couple of weeks, irrespective of what happens with the JackJumpers during our Saturday game, because JD and I will be looking to hopefully incorporate a little bit of flow and a bit of interest as we go into the playoff run and also into the postseason. Make sure you head over to the Basketball Fix, basketballfix.com, and follow them on all their socials, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, you name it, it's all over the place. Do go and make sure you check out beacons.ai/Tasmanian Takeover to get all the write-ups that JD's been doing, all our past episodes, and all the bits and bobs that come about from the Tasmanian Takeover. JD, thank you for hanging with me again tonight, mate.
It's been fun as always, Berto.
Excellent. And of course, Ant Army, march on.